Hello, everyone, and welcome to Curtain Call with Kosmo and Pauline, the Pi Day special. No, it's not a Pi Day special, but I want it to be because that's my favorite holiday coming up very shortly here. But anyway, this is an Oscars special, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Pauline Jennings. Hi, Pauline.
Hi, Cosmo. Great to be here. Wait a second. What's Pi Day? I think I missed that holiday. Oh, I got to look.
Yes, I forgot that we're on radio. Wow, it's on Monday, Pauline, March 14th, Pi Day, 3.141579. And since we celebrate that math number, a lot of people make pies, which quite frankly, I like more than cake, but that's a debate for another day.
The number pi is very cool. And now I've caught up with you.
Okay. Thank
you
goodness.
gave me the number and I was so in my head about eating pie and cake. I didn't even hear it come out of your mouth.
Yes, well, I'm glad that I set you straight on that front.
Thank you.
So this is our first show of 2022.
I'm so glad that we're here. I'm so happy we're here.
Yes, there's plenty of theater news. Pauline, did you do any research on that?
Well, first of all, I want to say that our guest today is Elin Odegaard, and she's in Bright Star, which I think you probably will talk about, which I saw and loved. So I'm very, very excited to talk to her about that.
Yes, Elin is one of my favorite people to work with in theater because she has a great energy to her and she's great at acting and some behind the scenes work and everything.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll talk more about Bright Star, but when we talk about local theater, but right now I want to talk about stuff that's going on in the cities. And I wanted to talk about Jelly's Last Jam, which is Theater Latte Da. Ooh. Which is Latte-Da as in latte, Latteda, latteda.org. Jelly's Last Jam is about Jelly Roll Morton, who was a classically trained pianist who was really fascinated with the ragtime and the blues and jazz sound happening all around him, and then started playing in those genres and is renowned for the way that he plays piano. So this is a musical about him or a show with music, and Steve's playing in that, and I like to keep everybody updated with what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so that's March 30th through May 8th in the cities, and again, ticket information is www.latteda.org. Another one is Park Square Theater. It's called ATACAMA Atacama. And it's a play of magical realism and profound reconciliation, which sounds pretty cool. That goes April 20th to May 1st, but I do know that Park Square Theater, every time I've seen things there, I've really, really been impressed.
Oh, awesome.
So third one is The Tempest at Guthrie. This is, of course, Shakespeare's Parable of Reconciliation, if we're on the reconciliation vein here.
Yeah.
And two things about this. It is running now. So you can get tickets now. Great. And that's GuthrieTheater.org. And by the way, this one spells theater T-E-R. A lot of the theater websites are T-R-E. So two things about this show that's special is that former Guthrie Artistic Director Joe Dowling, who kind of brought the Guthrie to where it is today, he's back. He returns to the Guthrie to direct this show. He hasn't been back directing since 2015. And he casts a female actor, Regina Williams, as the lead role, which Regina is a friend of mine, and I have not seen this show yet. I want to, because Regina is awesome. I highly, highly recommend her in anything. So those are my three that I have today.
Awesome. Yes, and Pauline, speaking of The Tempest, you were in a production of The Tempest a few years ago, were you not?
I was. I was part of the comic relief team.
Yes. Awesome. Yes. So I have a few things going on locally in Northfield and around Northfield. So first of all, as you mentioned, Bright Star is going on at the Guild right now. And this is their musical of their 2021 to 22 season. That's a tongue twister in and of itself. And it runs for 3 weeks. It started last week, and it's set during the 1920s and 1940s in the American South, and it's a Tony-nominated dramedy, or crama, as I call it, written by Steve Martin and Eddie Brickell. Yes, the Steve Martin and Eddie Brickell. And so it's about a literary editor who meets a recent World War II veteran in an inspiring and uplifting story that's sure to move all audiences. And you can buy your tickets and find more information at northfieldartsguild.org. Pauline, what did you think of it?
Loved it. There's really
Awesome.
nothing not to like about it. I mean, the storyline, it's uplifting, as you said. The acting is great. The singing is great. The music is great. And, you know, one of the things that I love most about it is the chorus. There's not that many of them, and they provide a wall of sound that's in tune and powerful and grabs your attention. Definitely. I mean, I think that often, I've said this before, maybe I've said this on this show, is you can go to community theaters and find your ringers, the leads, you know, and you can find usually a couple of those in any community. What is hard to get in community theater, as opposed to professional theater, I think, is a great chorus that everybody behind the leads and the supporting cast is strong. And that's what this cast have. Honestly, I was just so pleased. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
That's awesome. Thank you for your review. And I think that'll encourage a lot of people to go see it.
Yes, go.
Yes.
Go, yes.
And two quick things here. Boeing is an upcoming Paradise Community Theater play that will perform in early April, set in 1960s Paris, the ideal place for a play to be set, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. So I'm looking forward to see the production design on that and everything. And more details on Paradise Center for the Arts.org. And the other thing here is Fuddy Mirrors, which I haven't heard of this before, so it sounds interesting, but it's a comedy that is being performed by Phoenix Theater at the Sheldon Theater in Red Wing. So it begins its run on the weekend of March 25th. As written on the Sheldon's website, quote, imagine waking up each day with no memory of your past or the people in your lives. This is what's happened to Claire. The show follows Claire through each day as her husband and teen son recount the events of her past. Crazy things begin to happen and new characters enter her life. It sounds like a comedic, zanier version of It's a Wonderful Life to me.
Okay, that did not cross my mind. I could kind of see how you could say that.
Yeah.
All I thought was, what a great setup for a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost take that anywhere.
As I mentioned, more details at sheldontheater.org. Yes, so that is all the local news, and there's more stuff happening in spring that I'm sure we'll talk about next time too.
Definitely. All right, so people get out there, see some theater. I think that almost all theater these days is requiring a vaccination card. So remember to bring your vaccination card with you.
Thanks for the reminder. Since the Oscars is coming up later this month, March 27th, I got to remind people. This year, the Oscars is doing something new and kind of fun, too. It's called the Oscars Fan Favorite and Cheer Moment categories. So you can vote for this on Twitter. It gave you 5 of the moments in a movie that you cheered the most at. And it's not just last year, it was any year. And the fan favorite category has about 10 different movies from this past year that Twitter users get to pick which was their favorite. And so the winners will be announced at the Oscars this year, which I think is kind of fun. And then just 2 other fun facts here. The youngest Oscar winner ever is, I hope I'll pronounce this right, Tatum O'Neal for Best Supporting Actress at age 10. For 1973's Paper Moon. Can you believe that? Wow, wow. I mean, to be able to actually act in film when you're 9 or 10 is an accomplishment in and of itself. But to win an Academy Award at that age, that's wow. But, and then the oldest Oscar winner is Christopher Plummer for Best Supporting Actor at age 82 for 2010's Beginners. Last thing here is Pauline. Do you know the actual name of the Oscars trophy?
Oscar.
No, most people think it is that, including me, but it's actually called the Academy Award for Merit. Now, there's a theory out there that the executive director of the Academy commented that the statue looked like her uncle Oscar, and the name has stuck ever since. But
that's what I read too. I didn't know if I believed that. It seems pretty odd that would have stuck, but
yeah. Mm-hmm. Who knows how these legends and myths get passed around? But
that's right. Exactly.
Did you do any research on this front?
We think along the same lines so often, more about trivia, about this year's Oscar
cool.
batch of Oscar people. But, really most of it is just about firsts or seconds or thirds, right? For instance, Denzel Washington's nomination for Best Actor in Tragedy of Macbeth, about, the tragedy of Macbeth, makes him the most nominated Black actor in Oscar history with 10 nominations and 2 wins. 10 nominations and 2 wins. Really? So that's cool. Judi Dench is the 3rd oldest acting nominee of all time, behind only what you said, Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
If Jane Campion wins for directing The Power of the Dog, which really isn't about dogs, she will become only the 2nd female director to do so. There's Kristen Stewart as the first openly gay Best Actress nominee, first deaf male actor to receive an Oscar nomination, and with his nomination for producing and writing Belfast, because we can't forget the straight white men, Kenneth Branagh now has been nominated in 7 different categories. So that's kind of fun to see how that kind of stuff stacks up.
Right.
And it's really good to see that there's some firsts. It's way too late.
That's interesting. I read about some of that as well. Excellent. Well, thank you for that information. And my favorite part of this opening is to see and not to see. Now, we were talking about this a little bit before we recorded. Pauline is going to talk about Dune, and I'm also going to talk about Dune. And we're not sure if we have the same opinion or differing opinions.
There's only one opinion to have, Kosmo, on this one.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say about it, but go ahead.
Okay, seriously, I'm a little bit, what do you call it, biased, because I love the Dune books. Okay, now that can help or hinder, right? Because if there's a movie made out of a book that you love and they don't do a good job, then it's worse than it would have been.
Right, yeah.
But if they do a good job, like Lord of the Rings did, in bringing to life the book that you love, then it's pretty incredible. Yeah, it's really incredible. And this did it. Dune did it. The Dunes in the past, forget those. They did not. The look of it is gorgeous. It's for the eyes. It's just a smorgasbord of beauty and desolation and whatever the scene happens to be. They've done it beautifully, and the CGI is seamless. You have no idea. I have no idea. I couldn't tell. Let's see, Timothy Chalamet. I think that's his name.
Chalamet.
Thank you, Chalamet. Oh, it's French. Okay, Timothy Chalamet. His stunning portrayal of Paul Atreides is wonderful. Okay, really, really good. I can't tell from your expression if you're agreeing with me.
I saw your eyes looking at me like, is he nodding? Is he shaking his head?
Simply put, this is how I'm going to put it. Simply, Dune is a transcendent piece of cinema. Period.
Thank you for your review of Dune. Now I shall give mine. And I see you on the edge of your seat. Is he going to say it to see or not to see? Not to see. No, I'm joking. Oh, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I enjoyed it, actually. And it's very well written, I will say. It's nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay as well as Best Picture and Best Visual Effects and like 7 others. You're right. It looks beautiful. Like some of the cinematography and the visual effects and the production design just blew me away. It looked like, it didn't look like they were in front of a green screen or anything like that.
Never. Right.
And it was well done. I will say though, for the last 45 minutes, it lost some steam, I thought. That I didn't feel the tension that I felt for the first hour and a half of the movie. Yeah.
All right. So that's my to see. Your is a good suggestion. What is your to see?
Yes. So that was middle to see kind of. My actual to see though is Free Guy. And now this is not nominated for a lot of Oscars. It's only nominated for Best Visual Effects, but I did want to get it in here. I love it. It's still my favorite movie of 2021 that I've seen, actually. In a nutshell, it's about this non-playable character named Blue Shirt Guy in a video game, and he becomes the hero of the video game. And it's interesting because you're in the video game, which is called Free City, then you're outside of it and you see the people operating it. And it's really well cast. I love Ryan Reynolds in it, and Joe Keery, Jodie Comer, and Taika Waititi are also in it. Go ahead, Pauline.
Okay, I started watching this and I couldn't keep watching it because
Really?
Ryan Reynolds' character was so caricature. So if that's the way it's supposed to be,
Right.
and if I keep watching it, maybe I'll like it more. But I couldn't stand the
Really?
delivery, and so
Wow, I'm startled. I'm thrown off guard by this. But no, it was fun, and I don't play video games actually. And it's a video game movie, so I didn't know how I would like it, but it was really good and really heartfelt in some of the last moments. And Sean Levy, who directs it, I like a lot of his stuff. So yeah, but
got it.
yeah, so you should keep watching it, Pauline.
I will. I'll give it
your
another. I trust your opinion. I will give it another try, definitely.
Okay. So, Pauline, what is your not to see?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't seen that many of the Oscar movies. I have to fess up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a not to see because the ones that I have seen, and the other one I'll mention that I just saw is King Richard, which is about the Serena and Venus Williams, the tennis players, and their father, and how his machinations and his dreams got, and his drive and his perseverance kind of got him to be able to even think about playing on any kind of competitions that would get him noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done really, really well. It's a good, feel good, and it's funny because the outcome, but you're still kind of sitting on the edge of your seat. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I really want to see King Richard. Haven't seen it yet, but I saw the trailers and I really want to see it. And I really like Will Smith's stuff.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, so, well, my not to see, I also actually haven't watched a ton of the Oscar films, but I started to watch this because I thought, I can come up with an excuse. The new Batman movie came out last week, and Batman is one of my two favorite comic book superheroes. And so I started watching what some people consider the worst comic book movie of all time, Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin with George Clooney.
Okay.
And I started watching it this morning in preparation for this podcast, and I could not get past 25 minutes. The dialogue, I'm sorry, I need to butcher this for a minute because the directing, the writing, the acting, the visual effects, everything that you should love in a film is horrible. Joel Schumacher, who directed it, he apologized, and so did George Clooney, who plays Batman in it. And they both apologized, and they're just glad it didn't ruin their career.
You know what? We got to move on.
Yes,
we could keep talking about Dune for as long as you want, but
I know that we should call this the Dune special. But yes, so back to our main subject, which is Bright Star. As we mentioned, our guest this month is Elin Odegaard, who we've wanted to have on for a while now.
Yes.
And so she hasn't been on stage actually in a few years. So when we talked to her, she was excited about this show.
Yes, I worked with her for a couple catastrophes, and I love working with her as well. She doesn't fluster. She doesn't get flustered. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go.
Just stays cool, calm, and that's always nice to have that in the room. So she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, and I'm very excited to talk to her. So let's get her on. Drum roll, please.
Elin Odegaard. Hey, Elin, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kosmo. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Welcome to Curtain Call. We're very excited to have you on, Elin.
Curtain Call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot about it, so I'm excited to get to participate.
Awesome. There's some buzz around town.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yes, so you are in the Guild's new musical, Bright Star, which is your first time on stage in a few years, I think.
I just wanted to say before we get her started, we really should have her do a warm-up because that's what we do in the theater.
Yeah.
We warm up. So Elin, what's your favorite tongue twister?
We did this one. I learned this one just a few years ago in one of the musicals I was in. Who washed Washington's white woolen underwear when Washington's washerwoman went west? And then you do it to music, and there's like a clap towards the end, and then you like ratchet it up the scale.
That's stressful.
That is stressful.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. I've never
white
sung
woolen
it.
underwear when Washington's washerwoman went west.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think she's ready for you, Kosmo.
Yeah, so Ellen, you are in the ensemble of the Guild's new musical Bright Star.
This is my first show since the pandemic started, right
Oh, wow.
before the pandemic in March of 2020. We closed the show I was doing in Faribault. We did These Shining Lives, and we got through all of our performances. It was like, I think in February. And then right after that, the pandemic started and all of theater shut down. And the Guild, of course, has been back since last summer with Lion in Winter, but this is my first production back since prior to the pandemic.
So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that too, but I also want to talk about your theatrical journey, because you've been in a lot of shows in both Faribault and Northfield over the past few years, especially. And but first, I do want to start off and ask you, you are on the Northfield Arts Guild Theater Committee. I'm sure that there will be an announcement in the next few months of the 2022 to 23 season. I'm wondering if you can give us any hints, because you're on the confidential circle of trust. So
yes,
we want you to break that trust now, please.
I know, I'm not going to break the trust. So yeah, I've been on the theater committee for a couple of years. I'm currently the chair, and we have been working hard on selecting a season. We're really excited about it. We have one kind of surprise. We're going to try something new in the fall. Not a new show exactly, but a new approach for the fall slot. I think it's fair to say, I have been open with this, that Shakespeare in the Park will be back. So I'm not saying which one, but I have let people know that Shakespeare will be on the docket. So
are you taking suggestions, or are you way past that point?
We are past that point. But if you have suggestions, feel free to put them in, and we'll have to start working on the next season. We start in the middle of the summer, really starting to talk about that. So we're working pretty far ahead when we're doing this kind of stuff. So, and we will be announcing it, I think, in April.
Well, that's exciting, and I'm looking forward to the announcement in April, and I'll keep my eye out for sure. So can you tell us about your theatrical journey and your kind of first memory on stage in 3 words or less? No, I'm kidding.
It's close. I think 4-H, share the fun.
4-H, share the fun.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
I think I did a ton, some skits and stuff when I was little in church. Probably my earlier memories are Christmas pageant or something like that. But I remember doing some skit stuff for 4-H when I was involved in that. That was probably elementary school, mostly when I was, or into middle school maybe, when I was doing that stuff. But I also started doing community theater and school theater. One of my first productions in that reign. So my first full-length production would have been with the community theater when Kenyon used to do a summer musical each year. And I think it was Gypsy when I was about 10. And I was the little balloon girl at the beginning. So I had a swimsuit was my costume with balloons pinned on it. And then they get popped backstage. The mom runs me off. And then I was also a newsboy. Extra, hey, look at the headlines. There might have been a couple other, but side character groups with that. And then I did, 2 more, I think. Did Fiddler on the Roof and Guys and Dolls with that group, as well as then all through junior high and high school with the school productions. And then in college, I started with the theater group there. The college I attended didn't have a theater program, so the theater was just an extracurricular activity. It was run by students. We had a little bit of a budget. We had a faculty advisor, and I did that for the first maybe year and a half that I was out there. And then I got involved in other things, and I didn't do any theater for a long time. Moved back to Northfield. I think I auditioned for 1 show and didn't get in, and now I don't have time to do theater. And in 2012, the Guild did White Christmas, and my friend Wendy was in it. I was like, well, if Wendy can make time to do theater, I can make time to do theater. We have similar schedules. We were working together at that time. So that summer I auditioned for the Shakespeare in the Park for 12th Night. And Wendy and I were both in that, met a lot of great people, and the rest is history. I've been involved with the Guild ever since and done, I don't know, 10 or 12 shows, something like that. And gotten involved in the theater committee, of course, and all of that. So it's been a really, really great ride for the last, I think we're at 9 years since I've been involved with the Guild.
That's
I
cool.
have a couple follow-ups to that. Where'd you go to college?
I went to college on the East Coast. I went to a school in Philadelphia. At that time, it was Philadelphia University. It's now part of Jefferson University.
Got it. Okay, so you went east.
East.
Fun. When you started theater back up with the Guild after many years of being out of the theater, what was it that kind of bit you? You know, so to say after that, okay, that's it. I'm going to be involved with this.
Oh, wow. It's so fun. I love being on stage. I really do. I love embodying the character. I love the work that goes into it. I love being in front of an audience and getting that feedback, that reaction. I love playing with stuff, and I love all the people that you meet. The theater people are some of the greatest people. Everyone is so welcoming. And imagine there's places in the theater world that are backbiting or catty or anything like that. And you just don't get that here. Everyone is super supportive. They want you to succeed. They're excited for you when you land a role. They're encouraging when you do a good job. They're encouraging when you do a bad job. It's a really, really great group of people. And so you're all having fun together. You're making art together. You're bringing these stories to the community, and the community is really appreciative. It's a great arts community here. People love to come see the shows, and they're so complimentary afterwards. And yeah, it's a feel good place. And I like the storytelling aspect of it. I think we have a lot of power in the stories that we tell. And so even when you have a play with a really hard story, even if it's hard to tell, it's really important to tell. And there's a lot of value in that. So,
and there's some parts in Bright Star that are very, very difficult to tell.
Yeah, it is
overall feel good thing. There's some really difficult moments in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so sorry, Pauline, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, like you said, it's important to even the hard parts, show the hard parts, because it's truth. It's hard to watch, but it's important to see.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite kind of genre of a show? Is it musical, comedy, drama? Or what do you look for in a show? Because I think from what I've heard, Bright Star is kind of all of that mixed together.
Yeah, I love musicals. I love doing musicals. The first musical that I was able to do with the Guild was Oliver, and it was so much fun. I remember in dance rehearsal one day learning the choreo. It was hard, but I remember leaving rehearsal and thinking, gosh, that was fun. I forgot how much fun it was. So even though I'd done, I think maybe only just one other show at that point, the Shakespeare that I did first, I was like, man, I forgot how much fun it was to do a musical, to sing with everyone and to dance. And so I love doing that. But I also really love doing plays, because you can tell a lot of times a much more complex story that way. And the characters can be very, very rich, and the stories have a lot of depth. And I find myself drawn a lot more to the drama versus straight comedy, but I don't discriminate. I think there's value in a lot of different types of stories.
About Bright Star, first of all, I want to know, how did the first weekend go, and opening night in particular?
Well, the first weekend went great. For anyone who's done much theater, you know that Tech Week always feels like you're not going to make it. You're just trying to put all of the pieces together, and you always wonder if you're going to make it. And I have yet to be part of a show where we didn't pull it off opening night and have a successful show. And that's true for this one as well. And I think opening night there's always extra energy around opening night. And for many of us, this was our first time back after the pandemic. And so just this extra lift of having a house full of people again to respond to. All during Tech Week, you've got the director out there and maybe a couple of crew members here or there. You know, the choreographers come to check it out. And you get a few reactions, but they know the story. They understand what's happening. And so they don't react in the same way as someone who's seeing the show for the first time. And it's just, there's a couple of big reveals in this show, some twists, and to hear the feedback from the audience, like there's some gasping, you know, there's laughter, you know, you're like, remind each other, wait for your laugh lines, because people are going to laugh and respond. And to get that feedback from the audience is so rewarding. I think that's one reason why we do live theater, feeding off that energy. And it was just fantastic to have people out there experiencing the story with you.
That's cool.
And I was there opening night, and I concur. It was wonderful. Just fabulous. I cried, I laughed, I gasped, all those things. Absolutely. You guys brought it all out. So really, really well done.
So what is your role in the ensemble?
So yeah, my primary role is as an ensemble member, and the ensemble does, we called it creating the environment. We set the scene. We're the people of the town. We're the train passengers on the train. We're the people in the bar. We're on the street. We're at the party. Creating an environment for the lead characters to be in, to create that picture. Cool. And we had a lot of music to learn, but we have a powerhouse of an ensemble. So many talented folks that bring this to life, and everyone. Fantastic people. I mean, I mentioned earlier how great theater people are, and this cast, no exception, so kind, so generous, so hardworking. Misha has been great to work with. I know this is a passion project for her. She's from the South, so she has a lot of personal stake in it, connections to some of the themes that are addressed in this, and so she brought all of that to her directing. And she's a character-driven director, so she's really focused on bringing out the stories of the people.
I want to ask about the music, and was it different, seeing as this was written by not Rodgers and Hammerstein, not people that you know of that write musicals, but people in the pop world, or maybe you'd say bluegrass world, but Steve Martin, yes, that's Steve Martin, the banjo player, comedian, and Edie Brickell, who's a singer-songwriter kind of esque. How was it different learning this music?
I didn't find it super different as learning this music versus another musical. It does have that bluegrass influence in it, very heavily bluegrass folk. But a lot of that is heard mostly in the pit. A lot of the vocalizing still feels very Broadway, right? Yeah. So it's bluegrass with a very heavy Broadway influence. So the songs structure themselves very theatrically in a familiar way. I think with some of the lead roles, there was maybe some very different things, especially rhythmically, some really challenging syncopations and rhythms that are much more pulled out of folk music than a traditional Broadway score, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, the leads were terrific, and they did a great job with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really well.
Yeah, we just have a stellar cast. It's really been fun.
Anybody listening out there, and if you missed what Ellen just said, rewind it, because that'll convince you to go. So,
right.
And we still have 2 weekends left, weekend of the 11th and the weekend of the 19th. And, with COVID still, I think people are tentative about coming out and maybe don't know this musical as well. And so there have been tickets left. So don't feel like, oh, it's too late to get tickets. Call the Guild, go online, come get them at the door. Then I think that we'll have tickets for you. So come see it. It's really, you won't regret it. I promise.
Awesome. So I recently came up with a new name for Pauline's section, and I call it Successes and Failures, but mostly failures. She's going to grill you on some of your more unique and interesting theatrical experiences. Pauline, do your worst.
I'll do my worst. I will. I'm very good at that. All right. So we're going to start with the best role you never had.
I always wanted to play Eponine from Les Mis. And I can't say I ever failed to get it because I never had a chance to audition for it. Sure. So I think I've aged out of it at this point. So I don't know what my next like dream role is going to be, but Eponine was the role I always wanted to have. I think I used her song for an audition at some point, and that was as close as I got.
There are those definitely that slip away past you in your rearview mirror and go, well, that's never going to happen. So great. So on the reverse side of that, there's probably more than one favorite role that you have, but tell us about one.
Oh gosh, you can't make me choose one. It's so hard.
I know. I'm going to.
I've had some really, really great roles of amazing women over the last few years. And ones that I think are memorable, like people come up to me later on, like years later, and be like, oh, I remember you from, and so that was like, I did Margot and Dial M, and the one I did right before the pandemic was Charlotte in These Shining Lives, and she was just so much fun to play. But the one that I always think of was Athena in the Odyssey, because I worked so hard to get that show onto the season. And the fact that I was unable to land the role that I really wanted to play was just such a huge success for me all around. Like when I read that play during selection on the theater committee, I was like, this is one of the coolest plays I've ever read. And it would be so much fun to do it at the Guild. And I would love to play Athena. And what are the odds that I can make this happen? And we got Mark Robinson to direct it. And then he put together just a really incredible cast. Yeah. And I was so honored to be able to play Athena in that show. And
it was wonderful. And you did a great Athena.
Thank you.
Great Athena.
Thank you.
Yes, I was able to see the Odyssey twice actually. And it was interesting, particularly the second time around, because you kind of know what to expect a little bit more. And so you can see more details and everything. And you did a great job in that.
All right. So moving on, my next category is the best, meaning the worst, meaning the funniest onstage save that you have witnessed or been part of.
Or might I just throw this out there? If you don't have a save, there's always a mess up, Right,
the mess up without the save.
Yeah,
either one works.
Can I tell two stories?
Please.
I have two very different stories.
Yeah.
All right. So during Dial M, gosh, I have two stories with that. So the first was opening night. We're on stage. We're in the first scene. We're not even 10 minutes into the show. And there's a painting on the mantelpiece that is in a frame with glass on it. And it fell on stage. It fell, bounced, hit the mantle and fell onto the floor and shattered. Glass everywhere.
Oh.
And I looked at Kevin. It's like, I didn't know what to do. I think it was supposed to be my line next. And I just froze. And Kevin says, well, that was unfortunate. And I almost started to laugh. I didn't think I was gonna be able to keep it together. I started to where you kind of chuff a little bit, kept it together. I held it in. I focused on something else and I moved on. I went on with my next line. It was fine. And we kept going and ignored it for the rest of our scene. Brian Reed comes in, for his part of the scene, and I was downstairs at this point, so I didn't see this. I heard about it later, and apparently he's such a pro. Just plays right into it, picks up the glass, sets it on the mantle or whatever, just kicks it around and acts like it's just something that happens in your life, because of course it could.
It does, right?
And went on with his thing, and then I think they swept it up during the blackout.
Nice.
But that was nearly couldn't hold it together.
Yes,
there was also one night where, so we drink on stage and I'm supposed to get through at least two, I think. So I have to drink what's in the glass for the first something. And I don't know if had sat out over the week or something happened. And there was something floating in my glass.
Oh no.
But I had to drink it because I have to go pour myself another one. And so I take it down and it's slimy. And it's like swallowing a booger. I have no idea what it was.
I'm out.
A little bit of, and I was like, I had to just do it because what are you gonna do?
Because it's theater.
Down the hatch it went, and I was like, I probably won't die. It'll probably be fine.
I probably won't die. Right. That's a good one. I like it.
That was a good show. There was also time during Fiddler on the Roof where somebody didn't make their entrance. I realized I got through all of my normal ad-lib material and we were still in the scene. And I was like, oh, this person hasn't made their entrance. And this person, if they haven't come by now, they're probably not coming. And so I made some excuse and got everybody off stage, or I thought I got everybody off stage. The one person who's supposed to do the next scene with this person that comes on stayed there. And as soon as I was off stage, I booked it down the stairs. I went flying down the backstage into the green room, and called for the person who was supposed to be online or on stage. And he was just sitting on the couch and just hadn't been paying attention. He got up and booked it on stage. And people afterwards were like, we have never seen you move that fast.
I bet. What a save. Thank you, Ellen, for those stories and the laughter that you provided us. And now I'll hand it on back to Kosmo for some character work.
Yes, that's right. So this is a part of the show where I turn into the infamous dialect master. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to say a phrase and 2 different dialects or character voices. So the quote is, this is Pauline's idea. It is from Denis Villeneuve's Dune, and it is, dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake. I want you to say that quote in one of my favorite superheroes, Batman.
All right.
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
Nice.
All right, not bad. Awesome. Okay, now this next one is going to be a little bit more complex. It is St. Patrick's Day is coming up soon. So I thought you could do an Irish leprechaun.
So Wendy, she did a show where she had to learn an Irish accent. And so we talked a little about the difference between Irish and Scottish and what she learned about it then. And so I have some conceptual knowledge about Irish, but I don't know that I have function. Like, I don't know if I can make my voice do, it's probably going to come out sounding somewhere between Scottish and British and something that is neither anywhere close to any of those things.
Yes, Irish accents are tough. They're tough.
Yeah, they
But
are.
we probably would not be able to tell the difference between a Scottish and Irish.
Yeah, my Irish always turns into Scottish and sometimes an Indian accent too. It's
Yeah,
odd.
that happens. Yeah.
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we are awake.
That was great.
That was really good. Awesome.
That
Okay.
was really good.
All right, so we are on our 3rd accent, and this is the finale, okay? So you get to choose your own character voice, dialect, accent, whatever you want it to be.
Okay. Well, and this might be a cop-out, but because we're doing Bright Star, I think it has to be Southern. So in Bright Star, I do go from ensemble. I have one character that I play outside of just the whole ensemble role. Her name is Kate. So we'll be Kate. Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
Nice. Woo-hoo!
That's
The Southern accent hits it out of the ballpark. That takes us to the end of the interview, Kosmo. I hate to let her go.
I know. Well, it was great talking about Bright Star and your theatrical journey and some funny stories and, of course, some voices. So thank you so much, Ellen, for joining us. And I really hope that this weekend and the next weekend of Bright Star will go wonderfully. And
thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It's really been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Nice to see you.
And we are wondering, actually, if you have a specific quote that you would like to end on.
Well, I did
6.5.
a lot of research on theater quotes when we were redoing the lobby, because we were putting, we wanted to put some text on going in and out of the theater. And so I've been looking at it, during rehearsals lately. So the one that comes to mind is the one that we have as you go exit the theater. I believe it's by Oscar Wilde, and it says, "It was only in the theater that I lived."
Excellent.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ellen. Great to see you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Goodbye.
You too. Bye-bye. What a fun interview, right?
Yes. She has so many great things to say. She's so well spoken.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much, Elin Odegaard, for being our guest. And please go get your tickets to see Bright Star at northfieldartsguild.org, or you can call their office. And also be sure to check out the Academy Awards on ABC on March 27th. And thank you to Jeff Johnson and KYMN for broadcasting this.
That's right. And thank you so much to all of you for listening to this. We really appreciate it.
That's right.
And remember,
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players.